So, do you know what you're doing in your life?
That's humans are really interesting, right? Because we're just another species of animal. If you really think about it, they'll be like, "Oh, well, we do human things. We love each other. We care for each other." But if you really break it down, everything that we are is just something from nature. It's just we play a role in nature as an animal. But if you really start to like look at nature and look at living things, especially apes, bonobos. If you shave a bonobo, I don't know why you would, but if you did that and you brought it here and you sat it right next to me, we would act relatively similar. We would move a little bit the same. We would do things with our hands. We would just like, if you study these creatures and you look at them, we're really not that far off. It's actually stunning how similar the anatomy and the behavior is between. I'll give you another example. I know I'm rambling, but chimps, wild chimps in Africa in the Congo, they have borders, and they patrol those borders. If another group of chimpanzees intrudes on those borders, they go to war. They kill for the land that they live on. That's pretty human. That's pretty, like, not maybe not the best part of humanity, but it's definitely human. I worry about that a lot. About like if I'm doing this shit right, if I'm doing this living thing right. But really, I think the key to it is just not worrying so much, and then it'll just come to you,
Just come naturally.
Like I was like talking about earlier, like we all fill our role in nature. It's like humans have their own roles, and we fall into them as we grow. Like I didn't think I would ever be able to drive a car. I never thought I was gonna, because one, I got in a really bad wreck before I got my driver's license. My friend was driving down this little road. It's 25 actually, 25 mile an hour speed limit road. And I wasn't paying attention at the time. I was on my phone, just like looking at memes or whatever. And I noticed he was going kind of fast. I didn't know how fast he was going. He said he was going somewhere around like 60 to 70 on those little roads. So
25 mile per hour speed.
Yeah. So, long story short, we flipped 3 times around a curb, and the entire like top of the truck was like smashed in. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. It was really funny. I was like a bean in a can, just like it was nuts. But anyway, I walked out of that and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna be able to drive. That shit was terrible, and I'm never gonna be able to control the motor vehicle. And now I'm driving. I just fell into it. Yeah, the more I think the best way to like approach that dread is to just really analyze like what we're here for, I guess. Maybe there's not a purpose, but at least, if you can go outside and if you could just sit down and just smell the roses, as they say, just take a deep breath in. It's actually really nice just existing while we are. So I'm happy to be here right now, even though I'm not going to be here always. It feels good to be here right now.
Right. You'd be like a hippie in the 60s.
Yeah, oh,
70s.
fuck yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm there. That's like my whole aesthetic, dude. I love that. Give me a Volkswagen van, okay, and let's go on a road trip. Pop in the Bob Dylan. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it, okay? Tell me anything you want. Any old lie will do. Call me back to you.
All my life, I have been forced into doing something. So all throughout high school, well, not all throughout high school, but pretty much the entire through high school, I was in sports broadcast. So were you.
Yep.
So when I got out of high school, what experience did I have outside of sports? So my next job, sports. Job after that, sports. I was pushed into sports for years. I'm talking at least 5 years. But then when the people at WBRZ called me, and they were like, hey, we got a job opening in sports. Do you want to do sports? I said, no. So when I was first looking for classes at LSU, I wanted to be a cinematographer. But then I found out as I'm looking at the classes that there weren't really a lot of cinematography catered classes. Sure, there are like specific cinematography classes, but there's not a major for just cinematography. And so I didn't end up going with that, and I ended up going to journalism. Why did I go to journalism? I have absolutely no idea. It's just what I ended up landing on. I walked past the manship school, and I was like, oh, journalism, maybe I should stick with what I know. And at first I kind of regretted going to it, but now that I'm in it, actually working journalism, I think I'm starting to get the hang of it and actually want to do it. The very front of it, and not the front that anybody, it's not the side that anybody ever touches. The only time that anybody ever touches this is to sit on that deck, and that is when they do live reporting, like commentary outside of the stadium on game days. It's really cool to come and watch them do their thing, but I've never actually stood right there. So my friend Paris, she's one of the main photogs, and I've really been wanting to do what she does. So I walk up to her one day, and I'm like, hey Paris, can I ride with you to go do your thing, just kind of see what you do? And she says, yeah, but you're going to need to talk to Trey about it. And I said, okay. So the next afternoon, I'll walk in there, and I'm like, hey Trey, Paris says that she wants me to ride with her to do the filming thing. And he's like, are you working that Saturday? No. How many hours have you worked this week? This many. And he picks up the phone. Boop, 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 boop. How many accidents have you gotten in this week? Not this week. I don't know. How many speeding tickets have you had before? And I'm like, none. And he's like, okay. And he calls the people. I don't even know who he's calling. He doesn't tell me anything. He's just calling the people. And he says, hey, can you pull up Oscar Tickle's driving records?
It's like he doesn't trust you.
No. Well, he has to do this. And they're like, I hear him on the phone. They're like, why? And he's like, I just want to get him on the insurance. And they say, how soon does he need to drive? And he said, well, he needs to be driving by tomorrow morning.
Oh my God.
And so he hangs up the phone, and he's like, all right, I'll let you know in an hour. And I said, what just happened? And he said, oh, we're going to get you your own unit. I was like, like your own car. I was like, excuse me?
That's not what I was expecting,
not what
but
I asked
okay.
for. I was literally just asking if it was okay if I got in a car with another photographer and drove around. But nope, now I've got my own thing.
So like, what would you tell people your age that are transitioning into adulthood and starting their careers? What would you tell them, like advice to your peers?
My advice is a lot of people want to start at the service level, and they think, oh, I need to go work in a restaurant before I can even start to work my way into somewhere like that. But then they start to kind of get roped into that restaurant and just stay there and start to get content with that. Don't get content. I would tell them, like, never be satisfied. Always try to move up where you're at. Be eager to move up, because if you're not, people are just going to be like, oh, he does a good job doing what he's doing, and he's not showing that he wants to do more. So always want to do more.
Never be satisfied.
And never be satisfied. I went straight to a job in sports. Like, I went straight from high school into like upper management of the sports. So you gotta kind of gain that experience, do the internships you need, but when you have the skills to do something, know that you have those skills, have confidence in those skills, and go into whatever you're gonna do, not cocky, but open to the fact that after a little bit, you're gonna be able to move up. Nothing's impossible, I guess, is what I would say. Like, no matter where you are in life, even if you are working at that restaurant right now, and you don't necessarily have the experience, get in at the ground level, and once you're there, show that you have that drive. You want to learn, and once you want to learn, they'll start pushing you up. I've wanted to do film since I was little. Not necessarily journalism until recently, but I've always wanted to do film ever since I was very, very little. And that's not something that my parents ever told me, hey, you should do this. But they have always supported me in my decision to go into this kind of thing. And never once have they been like, Oscar, this isn't a viable source of income, this isn't gonna make you money. They've always been really supportive. And my sister, she's just going into high school. The second that they heard her last name, everybody's like, oh, are you a media person?
Of course.
So she didn't say this to me, but she was basically like, fuck you, Oscar, I got some big shoes to fill.